What's up, everybody? It's Diego Call from PunchDrunkSports.com, bringing you another episode of This Week in Soccer. And what a weekend of Premier League action we had! With two massive games at the top of the league, with all four teams in the top four going head to head. We had Arsenal versus Leicester City, and we had Manchester City versus Tottenham Hotspur. Both games, really, really, really important, especially Arsenal versus Leicester, as in my opinion, those are the two teams at this point in time who have to be considered the favorites. Manchester City are in a bit of a rut lately. They just don't perform as well as they really should. With the team that they have, they should be dominating this league, let's be honest. But, they're all top heavy. They have no defense. Even though Vincent Kompany is back, I'm not too sure that defense is going to be shored up enough and just going to be strong enough to keep them with Premier League, Champions League, and FA Cup, and the League Cup final. I'm not too sure that team is going to be solid enough to last in all those competitions, and we'll see how they do. So let's start off with Arsenal versus Leicester. Going into this game, I figured it would be pretty close, a lot closer than I thought that Leicester versus Man City would be, for the simple fact that, like I said, Man City are really, really defensively weak. They pour themselves too far in offense, and they always leave lots of space at the back. And a team like Leicester who have so much pace and so much power and so much determination and so much teamwork, they're going to punish you. Arsenal, though Mertesacker and Koscielny do tend to leave some space behind and make mistakes, I feel like they're a bit more solid, a bit more, they're a bit better at protecting themselves from teams that play on the break. And most importantly, Arsenal, they have great players up front, Ozil, Sanchez. Realistically, they should be able to beat Leicester, whose defense, sure, as a team they work together, but individually there is a potential of breaking them down. Now, the game started off, and Arsenal, in the first 5 or 6 minutes, like you would expect, they had control of the game. But every time Leicester would counterattack, they'd create problems for Arsenal. They just, Vardy is so great. So Mahrez is the same thing. They're just amazing at keeping the ball, helping their team move forward, and just being dangerous. You have Kante in the middle of the pitch. He's just amazing. He's one of those midfielders that maybe doesn't do things that are that extravagant, but he's just so solid. He pretty much does everything perfect because he doesn't try these crazy maneuvers, these crazy moves. He doesn't really care too much about flair, even though he does do some things that are pretty impressive to see. He focuses more on just being solid, which is pretty much what the entire Leicester side do, and that's why they manage to stay up top, because they do the fundamentals really well, and they don't focus on being all flair and being spectacular and things like that. Arsenal, they were creating chances. Both sides were creating chances. For the majority of the first half, it was a pretty close game until Monreal, he did a stupid thing. He left his leg out with Vardy coming into the box. He didn't have a great control of the first touch of the ball. The ball went a bit forward, but he used his pace, his amazing pace, to get to the ball. Just got it out, moved it a little bit past Monreal, who stupidly left his foot out there, clipped Vardy. Vardy went down. Sure, Arsenal fans are complaining that it maybe shouldn't have been a penalty. Maybe he left his leg out there. From the replay, you can see that he does leave his leg a bit out there. But at that speed, it's not exactly easy to get your body out of the way. And either way, Monreal left the leg out there. He got the contact. It's a foul. So, fair penalty in my opinion. Vardy takes the penalty. Giroud is talking all kind of shit to him in his ear. What does he do? He puts it in the back of the net, goes over to Giroud and says, "Hey, like me now, bitch." He does that. It's really fun to see. Vardy's he's hilarious. He's always talking shit to somebody. I love it. And anyway, so the half ends like that. Second half starts pretty much the same. Both teams really going at it, and you can see the referee something went in his head. So maybe he saw the penalty and decided maybe that wasn't the right choice. So he started handling things a bit different. He was giving things more to Arsenal. There was a penalty call that should have been a penalty. Mahrez did pretty much the same exact thing that happened to Vardy, but this time he didn't blow the whistle. So right then you can probably see maybe you guys should watch your tackles and be a bit smart about what you do. What happens? About 5 minutes later, Danny Simpson, he makes a stupid mistake. He pulls down Giroud. Already had a yellow card. Second yellow, he's sent off, and that completely changed the game. Leicester had no choice but to take off Mahrez. In my opinion, I wouldn't have taken off Mahrez, but I understand why. You need somebody who's going to give you a bit more defensive cover, and Okazaki does do that. But, however, a few minutes later, Okazaki was actually taken off. So I'm not too sure why I'd take off Mahrez, who was pretty much the best player, him alongside Vardy. But anyway, he took off Mahrez to put in a right back to replace Danny Simpson, and Arsenal pretty much took control of the game. They were with an extra man. Their quality came out, and they had Leicester against the ropes. All Leicester could really do was boot the ball as far forward, hoping that Vardy could get control of the ball. He did get it a couple times. He had one or two chances, but him and Kante both, they took bad shots. I think one each, and they probably could have done better. Maybe held up the ball, hoped the team would move forward. But realistically, Leicester, you could tell, were hoping at that point to maybe hold off the 1-0 win, and at worst get a draw. But about halfway through the half, Arsenal did get a goal back, and from then it was just Arsenal pouring forward nonstop, and you could really see the Leicester were in big trouble. And right before the end of the game, what happens? The Vasilevsky, who came in to replace Mahrez, who was a center back playing a right back, all of a sudden he decided to just tackle a dude, grab them, throw him on the ground. And when you have a guy like Ozil, who admittedly didn't have a great game, but with that left foot he can put the ball wherever he wants. And when you're right there in that position, quite right there at the box in the 92nd minute, I think it was 94th, you just can't give him a chance to put the ball in there freely. What happened? He put the ball into the box. Welbeck, who had come back after a long layoff, hadn't scored in I think it was over a year. Came back, hit in the back of the net. Arsenal win in the 95th minute. Tough luck for Leicester, who, admittedly, before the red card, they were fighting, at the same level as Arsenal, if not better. And realistically, I think that if they hadn't gotten the red card, they probably would have gone on to win the game. But now they still have a 2-point lead over Arsenal, who are now joint second with Tottenham. And right now they have a week off. They have a pretty good calendar of games that are very winnable, and whereas Arsenal have a bit of a difficult calendar. So there's still a chance of them sort of keeping their lead and maybe even building on it in the next 5 or 6 games, because they have 5 games that are very, very winnable for them. So we'll see how that goes. So the second game obviously has to be Manchester City versus Tottenham. That was a great game between two teams that are absolutely in the running for the title. Manchester City, like I said earlier, they're in a bit of a rut, whereas Tottenham, they're looking like a really, really, really solid team that could definitely challenge for the league, which nobody would have expected recently. Nobody would have expected that. I mean, with a manager like Pochettino, who really, I would love to see him at United and see what he could do with that team, maybe build for the future, because strategically and tactically the guy's amazing. So he would be much better than Van Gaal, and probably better for Mourinho, because Mourinho has sort of been criticized. But anyway, so going into this game, Tottenham, in my opinion, were the favorites. I actually predicted them winning in the preview show I did for Punch Drunk Sports, and early on they got a penalty that it was a bit harsh. Realistically the referee could have even not given it, but he gave it. Tottenham put it in 1-0. The first half was a pretty even showing. The second half, City got to go back. They were playing well. It was a really good game. And I mean, Spurs ended up winning it 2-1. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch the game. I only saw the highlights and things like that. But I mean, I only saw the first half hour, and from what I saw, City got to go back. Spurs got another go back, which all it shows to me is that City, in their defense, you can tell they lack that solidity. They lack teamwork to keep everything out. You just see teams like Leicester. They're really hard to break through. Even in 10 men, they were really hard to break down. City, on the other hand, their players, even their fullbacks, they're so offensive minded. Even their center backs, you see Kompany, you see Mangala, they always move forward. They always leave space in the back. And teams that are quick, teams like Tottenham are very solid. They have Eriksen, they have Harry Kane. They have these players that are very, very talented. They're very young, very hungry. These are guys that haven't won titles. They have Hugo Lloris in goal, who's very solid. They have a great team. They have a team that's Dele Alli. They have really, really, really talented players. Very hungry. So they're gonna, if they see those spaces, they're gonna take advantage of it. They're gonna get goals, and that's what they did. They took advantage of City's weaknesses. They took advantage of their mistakes, and they got the goals. Great performance from Tottenham. I really believe this, that at this point in time, the two favorites are Arsenal and Tottenham, but I think that, in my opinion, the teams that could go on to win it are Tottenham and Leicester. Shocking. I understand Arsenal on paper at this point they have to like their chances of winning, but I just don't have faith in them. I just don't like Wenger's arrogance. Not really his arrogance, but his inability to change the way he plays. Based on the situation, he has never been able to adapt ever since he started this rebuilding process. I just don't have a lot of faith in the guy to sort of keep things going even when it gets tough. So we'll see, but we'll see. I think Tottenham, after beating City this weekend, I think they really show that they're here to stay. And I really do believe that if they can keep this run up, and maybe have some luck against Arsenal when they play against each other, it really does depend on when they play each other. How they do when they play each other. And Tottenham does have to play in Europa League, which on Thursdays is very, very heavy for teams. Playing on Thursday, then playing on Saturday or Sunday. It really is heavy for the legs, so we'll see if that has an effect. But at this moment, I think that the most solid team in the league is Spurs. Them and Leicester are the most solid teams. So in my opinion, those are the two teams that I think will go on and be first and second, because I'm not too confident in Arsenal. I'm definitely not confident in City right at the moment. United are fifth. They're just not going to be competing. So right now it's a 4-horse race. It's very close. Don't get me wrong. It's very close. And those 4 teams can win it. But I think those are the 2 teams that have the best chance. Obviously Arsenal, if they can get on a run, they could run away with it pretty easily as well. But we'll see. It's one hell of a title race, and I definitely haven't seen something like this in as long as I've been watching the sport. And it's a long time. So it's been really good fun, and I hope Leicester can pull it out. I hope Leicester, and if not Leicester, then Tottenham can pull it out. That way we see a team that nobody expected, and most importantly, someone that hasn't won it in a while. These teams that don't necessarily spend that much money going against these giant teams, and let's hope they can do it. That's about it for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, maybe subscribe. Check out punchdrunksports.com, and I'll see you next time.